In this video, we're going to talk about first-time home buying explained. You see, a lot of people watch reality TV. They see things like HGTV and Million Dollar Listing and all of these, amazing shows that make buying a home seem incredibly simple and easy. So it's not. Here's the thing. One of the primary things that you're going to think about is what I'm looking for really based in reality? And that's a hard part, and it's what we're going to talk about because it brings up all the emotionality in the process. But think about what you're accustomed to. See, you've been pre-programmed to believe that buying a home equates to you going out, seeing 3 homes with this agent that just showed up, by the way, and you automatically pick one of those 3 homes every single time. Why? Because that's what HGTV shows you every time. That's not really how it works. The truth of the matter is, when you go into this process, you have to recognize the single most important thing that I can share with you. Buying and selling a home currently is the 3rd most stressful time of a human being's life, right behind death and job loss. It actually used to be 4th after divorce, but guess what? They flip-flop. And the reason is because what's the most stressful part of a divorce now? Since it's so common, it's actually buying and selling the house as part of the divorce. So here's why you need to be aware of the stress levels. If you're buying a house currently, you need to be prepared in a way that helps you take a big step backwards to think about what's most important. You need to have your top 4 or 5 most important things already pre-mapped out of what you need in your home. You see, a lot of people think I need 10 things. The reality of it is that when you go start looking at homes, those 10 things that you think you have to have in your home slowly become then what? 7 things, because you can't find all 10. And then you realize, guess what? It's going to be about 6 things. And the more you keep looking, you're down to like 3, and you're really happy that you nailed it with 3. That's very common. So start with 5 things. What are some of the most 5 important things that you really need to have in your home? Is it space for the family appropriately? Is it having maybe a room that's very close to or adjacent to a master bedroom in case you've got small children? Is it having a kitchen that has an open area with a TV and seating so that you can have shared communal spaces that you really enjoy? You have to think about the most important core things. Once you have those 5 core things that are most important, the next best piece of advice I can give you is make a checklist. Now, not your typical checklist, not a checklist that you'd think of in terms of like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. It needs to be a checklist that allows you to look and identify, hey, when I go through this process, what are the steps of things that I need to do that really help me ground into, hey, am I moving in the path correctly? The checklist that you produce for yourself needs to be one that focuses on 3 key areas. The first is, what are my finances and what can I actually afford? There's some fantastic calculators out there that you can just Google for home affordability calculators and play around with them a little bit. It's a good start to really get an idea of what you have as an affordability factor, and it does point out things that you may not even be aware of. Sometimes when we think about home affordability, we think about it in the sense of, well, it's a mortgage, and then I've got maybe my homeowner's insurance. There's a lot more to it than that. You have to remember that there's maintenance, there's repairs, there's electric, there's water, there's all kinds of other additional costs that you're not actually aware of yet. Maybe because you've been living at home with your parents, or maybe because you were renting, or maybe because you live in a van down by the river. I don't know, but there's lots of different places and reasons that you're not used to what's about to come next. Once you have the second part of your checklist down, you need to look at a core element that I always recommend to people, and that is when you look for a home, what is the neighborhood, what is the area, and what are the benefits to that neighborhood and area? You see, a neighborhood is different than an area. A neighborhood is the homes that are within a small particular circle that comprise really where you're going to spend most of your time. Those are where your neighbors are. Those are where a lot of the socialization elements happen. An area is a little bit different. An area is the broader scope so that you have an understanding of what schools are available. You have a good understanding of, maybe some things that do restaurants, what the actual nightlife looks like, whatever those are. But you want to think as the second option in your checklist is, what is the neighborhood that I'd like to be in? And then what is the area that makes me happiest? So depending on what type of lifestyle you live and with different things that you like to do, you want to look at both of those. Keep in mind also, that's why we start with the financial piece first, because oftentimes the financial piece dictates then both the neighborhood and the area. A mistake that people make is they start with where they'd love to live, they find the perfect area, they find an amazing neighborhood, and then realize that they can't afford anything in that area. So we want to start with the financial piece first. And the third thing you want to do as you go into this process in your checklist is recognizing that it's a marathon and not a sprint. You're not going to find the perfect thing on your first try. Can it happen? Sure. Look, a broken clock is right twice a day, but it's not highly likely. You want to prepare yourself mentally, psychologically, and emotionally for the fact that the home that you find that you may really like is going to take some time. And by the way, the one that you love, you may not get. In certain markets, it's a very competitive landscape and you're going to have a lot of bidding to do and a lot of process involved. And there might be some big emotions around losing a home that you thought you might have a chance at winning. I'm going to talk about that more in some other later videos. But for right now, as a first-time home buyer, start with that checklist. Get your finances in order and begin to think about some of the most important things that you can ground yourself into for what those real needs are and what you want in a home, and how you can do it in a way that keeps you both mentally, we'll say sane, because if you don't, guess where you're going to end up? Probably in a van down by the river. If you want to avoid living in a van down by the river and you want help, feel free to click below and I'm happy to talk.